All right, Evelyn. Oh yeah. Uh, okay. Let's reconvene. All right. Evelyn, let's start with roll call.
Trustee Lee,
Here.
Trustee King,
Here.
Trustee Marquez,
Here.
Vice President Weekly,
Present.
President Wells.
Here. I'm gonna do our report on closed session. And during the closed session today, this was April 2nd, 2025, the board considered and voted to expel 2 students. A motion was approved. It was unanimous. And so we also received information from legal counsel and the board took no action. All right, and then we're back on to getting the day started. Okay, cool. So good evening. Welcome to today's the April 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Redwood City School District Governing Board. Buenas noches. Si requiere interpretación al español, por favor llama al 978-990-5137 y presione 8377-041 y el signo de número. Si asiste a la reunión en persona, solicita un transmisor situado al fondo de la sala. Again, welcome. All members of the public are partners in education, and so the board encourages you to participate and provide comments on issues of concern, regardless of whether they're on the agenda. To speak, complete a speaker's card online, or if you're here in person, you'll find them available at the entrance, and then when you complete them, you can hand them to Evelyn. If you're addressing a subject that's listed on the agenda, you'll be called at the time the item is being considered. And if the issue is not on the agenda, you'll be called shortly during our oral communication agenda item. To be fair to all speakers, we limit public comments to 3 minutes per person per topic unless otherwise noted. All right, we're on to changes to the agenda. Does anyone have any changes, modifications? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, so I have for oral communication, I believe I have 5 speakers. 4 online, 4 cards, and one of these. So I will start with, is that Eza? Okay. And this is for oral comment. Is Eza here? Azal, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. All right. And yes, you'll have come on up. Yeah, here. Have my kind of quick.
Right there.
And then there'll be a timer going off, and if we will have to stop comment at 3 minutes just to be fair to everyone, but please go ahead.
Hi. Hello, my name is Azel. I'm an online 5th grader. Every Friday, I am one of the few students who look forward to the weekly English spelling tests. I also enjoy writing homework. When I grow up, I want to become a pilot, and I need to go to a good college to do that. That's why I really want to advocate for the advanced English learning at Kennedy Middle School. In a standard learning class, learning is enjoyable and challenging. However, in the advanced English class, students are exposed to a more challenging curriculum, which provides them with opportunities to tackle more difficult concepts and push their learning to the next level. An advanced ELA class can make me become a better writer and be a better communicator. These skills are important for many jobs, including pilots. English is actually not my first language. My home languages are Mandarin and Turkish. I started learning English when I was in kindergarten. My English has come a long way ever since, and I want to improve it further when I'm in middle school. An advanced English learning class will motivate me and my classmates to work harder at school. My classmates and I are striving for our dreams to come true. We ask the school district kindly to provide the resources to enable us to achieve more. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Azal. Really appreciate your comments and for taking the time to come and speak with us. The next speaker is Nia Seeberger. Nia's here. Okay, great.
Hello, Redwood City's trustees. Thank you for allowing me to present my ideas and my academic needs. I was born in China and I only speak Chinese to my mother. I haven't grown up learning and hearing the English vocabulary that other kids have been able to access to. My vocabulary scores are weaker than I want them to be. I know that I need to improve my English skills in order to be able to take the coursework in high school that I know I am capable of. This is why I need to have an advanced English class in middle school. I know the board argues that kids like me will achieve success no matter what course they are offered, but that is not true in my experience. My parents are very busy and they don't have much time to help me. I don't have a lot of extra programming and extra resources to help me achieve success. I don't have access. I don't have a lot of access to advanced coursework outside of the school district. I'm not the only one that doesn't have this. Some kids might have professional English parents, but they might never be home to help them. There's also a lot of people who don't get any help at all, and their parents can't help them with homework at all because they don't know how. For all these kids, it's important that they get the help from the school district to have the advanced coursework that they need and that they want in order to achieve their goal. Without this advanced coursework, I believe that there is a high chance that these students will not be able to have the skills that they need and be prepared in order to achieve their goals of having high academic success in high school and beyond. For instance, because of my English skills, for instance, because of my English skills, I'm not. I am worried that I won't be prepared for AP classes in high school because my English needs to be excellent in order to take those classes. It's important to struggle. Struggling is not a bad thing because each time you struggle, it builds up your brain. People that want to live up to advanced work should have the opportunity to test themselves and develop skills. Kids with high appetite for learning need to continue to prepare for challenging coursework. Thank you for listening to my perspective.
Thank you, Nia. Great job. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. The next speaker is Maple.
Dear Board of Trustees, thank you for your time. My name is Maple. I was looking at my recent iReady results for English, and my scale score was 672. When I looked this up, I realized that this score puts me at the 92nd percentile for 8th graders nationally. I read all the time, and I read many books that have advanced vocabulary. I can figure out the meaning of almost any word using context clues. I can read a lot of books in a short period of time, and I remember everything I read for the first time and can answer questions about it, even challenging nonfiction books. I don't need repetition to learn things. I learn the most from new information. I just learn things really fast. When I can't learn new things, I feel bored and annoyed. I'm annoyed because I feel like I'm not allowed to learn new things, which is the entire purpose of school. When I am forced to learn things I know already, I lose focus. I start writing, doodling, or sketching things. I'm worried that I'm not getting enough information for middle school. I'm developing a habit of losing focus with lessons in school, and this worries me. I really need to feel challenged. It's not good for me to be spending most of my time in school disengaging from lessons. Because of this, my parents are thinking of sending me to other schools and even a private school. I feel like these schools would be better for me because they have challenging and advanced curriculum that would really help me break the pattern of being disengaged and actively learn new things. But the best option would be if Kennedy offered advanced coursework for ELA for all district students that can benefit, and I can stay in my community with my friends and keep learning Mandarin. Redwood City Board of Trustees, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Maple, also for sharing your experiences. Our next speaker is Maya Rose.
Hello, my name is Maya Rosas. I'm here today to ask you to add advanced coursework at Kennedy Middle School. The courses that I take in high school are going to depend on what I'm able to learn in middle school. For me, I really want to go to a good college and become a lawyer, and it really matters what course I take now. I feel like for kids who are advanced, they could be preparing to achieve their goals instead of being in a regular class using their learning time to help others. I don't have any other ways to develop the high English skills I will need to achieve my dreams. My mom grew up in Tonga and didn't have a very good education, while my dad had a rough childhood and dropped out of school. They love me very much, but they can't help me with any of my homework because of the defects of their own education. The only way I am going to have access to advanced coursework is going to be through this board, school board, and through the school district. I want to become a lawyer because I have always been interested in learning about law. There's a lot of corruption in America, and if you know the law, you can protect others who are discriminated against because of their race and taken advantage of in the system. I know how many people I will be able to help if you give me the education I will need to succeed. In order to achieve my dreams of becoming a lawyer, I need to have excellent English skills. I need to score very high on tests and be able to succeed in advanced and AP coursework in high school so that I can get into law school. And that's why I need advanced English in middle school. Most people's dreams don't come true because they don't have the education that they need and end up giving up. I don't want that to be me. I don't want the school district to give up on me and my dreams of becoming a lawyer. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Myra Rose, also for sharing your experiences and your goals. Our next speaker is Greta.
Dear Redwood City Board of Trustees, my name is Greta. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Orion Mandarin Immersion Elementary School. Thank you for all the hard work you do to support students and make our education better every year. I really appreciate your efforts. I'm here today to ask you to consider adding advanced English and other challenging classes to Kennedy Middle School. My parents wanted me to go to North Star, but I chose Kennedy because I wanted to keep studying Mandarin with my friends. Their biggest concern was that Kennedy might not have the same challenging classes as North Star. Like many of my classmates in the Mandarin Immersion program, I don't speak Chinese English at home. At home I speak Chinese with my mom and Lading with my dad. Lading is the language I use with my grandparents and my dad's side of the family in the Dolomites. My main way of learning English includes grammar, vocabulary, and the ability to express complex ideas is at school. Even though I don't speak much English at home, my test scores show that I'm ready for 7th grade English. But I feel that my English is still not very strong, especially compared to English-speaking families, and not up to my parents' expectations. Sometimes in class, I lose focus, and teachers think I don't care about learning. But that only happens when the lesson moves too slowly. I can focus for about 15 minutes, but after that, if I already know the material, it's hard for me to pay attention. I don't want to upset my teachers, and I feel bad when I do. The real problem is that I already understand the information. I worry that if I'm placed in a regular class, I'll continue to not pay attention, which could hurt my education. I learn quickly, but I also know I've less experience in English than other students. If I don't have access to advanced classes, it might make high school harder for me. This is especially a problem for Mandarin immersion students who don't speak English at home. I hope you will consider my perspective and add advanced classes to Kennedy for all students who are interested. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greta. I appreciate your time too. And our last speaker is for oral communication is Luis.
Luis Velasquez?
Yes, Luis Velasquez.
All right. So my daughter wasn't given the chance to talk today, and I came here in support of her. Having said that, I would like to address. I am Luis Velasquez. I'm a parent of this district and the father of Alexis, who wasn't given the chance to talk. The fifth grader, who was hoping to speak for more clarity of many people, most people that I know. I want to tell you something that I hope that you hear. We're failing some of our bright students. And we're doing it in the name of equity. Alexis, like many of her little friends here, have tested way beyond their grade in English, and they're asking for a challenge, for something to stretch them. to push them and to help them grow. And what is being told, in effect, is that we don't do that here anymore. That is not just disappointing, but it's just heartbreaking. I want to believe that this district and the community, this district's commitment to equity, but let me be clear about that. Equity doesn't mean pulling people down, but elevating people up. And here is where it gets personal. I'm not just a father. I'm also someone who has spent years coaching CEOs, teaching at Stanford, and helping leaders to become better versions of themselves. And here is one thing that I've learned, is that you cannot grow somebody by limiting their potential. You cannot inspire excellence by limiting ambition. So let me offer some thought. The idea of eliminating challenges creates fairness is not progressive. It's regressive indeed. And it's costing us the very diversity that you and we want to have in our district. I'm asking you tonight to reinstate Advanced Ella at Kennedy, not because Alexis is special or her friends are special, but because we all lose when kids like them are told to wait their turn. There is no wait your turn in curiosity. There is no slow down in passion. My daughter is 11 years old, and he was hoping to stand here today and advocate for her education. That should never be necessary in our district. But since it is, I'm here to back her up. Please do the right thing, not just for her, but for all the students here present, that we're just waiting for the system to rise with them. And if we want to eliminate something, think about North Star. Not everybody is allowed to go to North Star. I'm asking you the same.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Louis. We did get a few more cards. These are going to have to be the last ones, though, because we've allocated 3 minutes per speaker, so we'll have hit our time budget at that point. So the next speaker is Alexis.
Hello, my name is Alexis Velasquez, and I'm a fifth grade student at Orion. I'm here today to share my story about why I support advanced English classes at Kennedy. I recently took the iReady exam, and my scores indicate that I'm ready for 8th grade instruction. I'm worried about not having advanced English classes at Kennedy because I know how much better I could be doing on test scores and showing improvement in my skills if I was receiving instruction at the level I'm currently demonstrating. My time at Orion and love of learning has helped me to become a proficient reader and score well on English testing. Having advanced English classes will allow me to continue to expand my learning at a level that challenges me and helps me stay engaged. Advanced ELA will help to continue our love of learning. I'm asking the school board to please add as many advanced classes as possible to Kennedy, including advanced ELA and science, and to let anyone into these classes who feels up for the challenge. Advanced ELA in middle school will create a solid foundation to prepare us to take on challenges from middle school, high school, and beyond. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Alexis. Appreciate your comments. Our next speaker, I believe it says Olbia. Did I get that right? Sorry.
Firstly, I would like to thank all the members of the Redwood City School Board for all that you do for district students. My name is Olbia, and I'm a 5th grade student at Orion, and I'm planning to attend Kennedy next year. I've come to this board meeting to ask the district to reinstate advanced ELA classes at Kennedy next year. My recent scores on the iReady test show that I'm already advanced well above my current grade level, and I know I'm capable of completing much more advanced material than I'm currently receiving access to. Kennedy Middle School has a wide range of students coming in from different schools. Different schools might have different after-school activities or tutoring. This might cause students to learn more than class teaches them. For example, I recently joined an after-school math competition team, and that's helped me improve greatly in tests and academic learning. That's why more advanced math learners have an advanced math program, and I believe that could be the same for advanced ELA learners. Even in 5th grade, I noticed that students have differences in their appetite for challenges and information. Being in a class together makes these differences more noticeable where it's really highlighted. It would be better if I could be in a class with students that have the same appetite that I have so that I can work with people who are on the same level as me. I would like to ask the school board to reinstate advanced ELA and other advanced classes at Kennedy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Obia, and to all of your classmates for speaking tonight. I appreciate it. Our last speaker is Megan.
May I approach and give you some?
Yeah, hand it off to Evelyn and she'll pass it around. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Megan, and I'm here today to support these wonderful young people who are asking for more advanced coursework at Kennedy. And I also want to support what Alexis said, and that we should be letting in any child who wants to access these courses and have this challenging curriculum. Sequoia Union High School District has eliminated advanced coursework for credit, but they have not eliminated AP classes. They have not eliminated IB classes, which are essentially equally challenging. In order to have students accustomed to the rigor necessary to succeed in high school, students need to have access to advanced coursework early on. And Redwood City provides this academic rigor only for North Star students. But for every other student in the district, they deserve this access as well as the preparation needed in elementary school to get on track and stay on track for success. Clipping the wings of our best and brightest students has led America to a race to the bottom. It's weakened our public school system. And families with the resources and able to, they opt out of this system, and this exacerbates and cements achievement gaps. The strategy to limit the achievement of one group of students and instead deploy them as a public resource to help another group of students is a dubiously ethical intervention. And while this is popular, I think it's just paying lip service to the idea of equity while obscuring our collective failures as a community to actually support marginalized students to achieve on grade level success. There is no overwhelming conclusive evidence that this works. Meanwhile, in front of you right now, you guys have incontrovertible evidence and proof of an intervention that works superbly. And you have incredible administrators, Catherine Rivera, Winnie Wong, who know how to do this. You have incredible resources at hand. And they would cost little to implement beyond what you are already spending on your teaching staff. Why not expand this to across the school sites that need it most? The district is already committed to grouping kids by supposed ability and concentrating them at one school site in the district. Returning to advanced ELA at Kennedy would fill 2 classes per grade at Kennedy. 2 classes per grade. That's 67% of what North Star has per grade. Do we recognize that? And a district that recognizes the unique needs of highly gifted students so much so that they offer them their own school site can yet at the same time deny these same educational needs at another school site? I don't understand it. I really think the best path forward would be to provide an accelerated curriculum at earlier ages so more students have the chance of achieving what Maya has managed to achieve despite her challenges. So I would like the district to support and accommodate all advanced students, let them achieve, let them challenge themselves, let them test themselves as much as they possibly can, and fly as high as they are able to. And please help them arrange whatever challenges that they can think up for themselves. Redwood City is known for its innovation, its leadership, its practical solutions to real problems, and this is an area where we can be state leaders and make a true difference in the lives of children. And I would love to see it. Thank you so much for all your time. We did have 2 more speakers, but if we don't have time, I'll let them come
I
back.
think we've already hit our 10 at the 3-minute one. But thank you so much for all the students for speaking tonight and all of our speakers for being part of our meeting this evening. Let's move on to our bond program consent items. We're going to approve these all in one motion. Would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Great. Then we're moving on to, there's no bond program action items, so we'll move on to the McKinley School presentation for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, so tonight we have Ms. B. Williams will be with her team from McKinley today presenting.
Yeah, we turned the microphone on. Yeah.
Got it?
Perfect.
That might help.
Clicker. Good evening, distinguished board members, and to my wonderful cabinet. Thank you for having us today. We are the McKinley Bulldogs. I want to say thank you first off to my staff that showed up and showed out, as well as the students that are going to come up in a little bit, and also to my staff that couldn't make it but really wanted to, because we couldn't do this work without them. So we're going to go ahead and begin our presentation. Okay. So here's our California dashboard data. As you can see, from 23 to 23, 24, some of our indicators did, we went to red overall. For our ELA groups and our math group, we are red overall. From our subgroups, math and ELA, our English learners, our Hispanic, our LTELs, our socially economically disadvantaged, and our students with disabilities. Those are our subgroups that did go into red last year. And our suspension subgroups, which also were red, again, our English learners, our LTELs, and our students with disabilities. So that's the data that we are currently trying to get ready to improve for this year. You got to point it to her. So, there we go. So looking at our goal number one is pretty much about culture and how to improve the culture out of school by lowering our absenteeism rates, our chronic absenteeism rates, and reducing our suspension rates. So as you can see, by 2027, we aim to reduce our absenteeism rate by 3%. That's, of course, for the whole district. And improve our attendance rate by 2% each year in all groups. And to also, the biggest thing that we really concentrated on this year is reducing that suspension rate because it was very high last year. Again, we felt that changing the culture, using all the resources that we have on campus in order to do that would help reduce that. Truth be told, it has been a challenge. I have a whole new admin team this year. Paez, my assistant principal, Nelson, Brazil, my dean, my MTSS TOSA, my lead mental health counselor. We're all new, not an excuse, but it took us some time to gel and to really get to know our students. That first semester was about getting to know the students and looking at what resources and services they needed in order to improve upon these targets. I am going to have 4 of my students come up right now to talk about some of the things that they've seen that have changed this year, and then we'll get to look at our data so far.
Hello. I'm Emily Guzman. I'm a student at MIT in 8th grade. Some of the changes that I've seen is probably phone use. There's like not many people using their phones now. I'm probably respecting more of the rule because of how much they implement it to us. And also, I think that the yonder pouches have really helped a lot too, because students will tend to like not try to open it either because they know that they will get in a lot of trouble and pay fines. I've also seen that the school has been a lot more like in a mood, like in a good mood ever since, I guess, Miss William became principal. She's very cheery. She's very nice to be around. I also like how a lot of the staff is also really they interact a lot with the students and they like to get to know us a lot better, which we didn't have a lot of the years before. And I think it's really helped students become more comfortable in the school environment. Um, yeah, that's what I got to say.
Hi, my name is Genesis Hernandez. I'm in eighth grade. Please bear with me that I have a little tiny cough, so I will try my best to speak. Some of the changes that I've seen throughout the school year was probably like the block schedule for the iReady testing. And at the start of the thank you. At the start of the year, we didn't, I think we just had to do the iReadies like for like a period of the class time for like 40 minutes. Was it? Yeah, for 40 minutes. And then this time, I think it was like a month ago or 2 months ago that we had to do our iReady testing. And it was like for an hour in the morning. And it actually really helped because I went from a fourth grade level in ELA and math to an eighth grade level in ELA and a sixth grade level in math. Thank you. So I really think the blog schedule really helped a lot. And I'm pretty sure it also helped with other students and around the school because I've seen some of my friends with like more improved like scores in their iReady. Um and yeah, that's what I had to say. Thank you.
Um, um, my name is Jonathan Ortiz. I'm an eighth grader at McKinley. I'm not really going to talk a lot about the changes. I'm just going to say a few things about my experience because uh, yeah. I have experienced a lot of kindness during in my eighth grade experience at MIT. There has been a lot of improvements, and I got to go to the school I wanted to, which is Tide Academy for high school, which is great. um, One thing I did want to talk about was our concert in spring, May 9th, which is great. We have been preparing a lot for it. I personally in guitar, which yeah, it's wonderful. And the students I feel are way more motivated this year to succeed and to like persevere because of all of the things we have gone through. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marco. I am a eighth grader at McKinley, and I'm gonna talk about the whole year, this school year. And at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of problems that like I couldn't admit that. But with the help of our staff members at McKinley, it's gotten better. Like for example, my bad. Miss Paez, Miss Williams, and Mr. Nelson, they've helped me a lot. McKinley's like a second home to me. I feel comfortable there, like we have flags all around the hallway, and that makes me feel like accepted there because yeah, it's just flags. And then also there was about like a lot of, how can I say, problems in between students and everything, but it's changed now. Like I had problems with multiple students, but now that we have like sports teams and everything, it's changed. Like it's really changed. I've gotten along with more people now. And also with the schedule, we can't have more than, if we play sports and we have more than 5 tardies, we cannot play. That's helped me a lot because I used to be like 15 tardies in 3 days, and I only get, right now I'm like at 2 tardies this week, and that's helped me a lot. Um, and also what else do I want to talk about? Um, yeah, I like McKinley a lot. It's it's welcoming. It's really welcoming, and yeah.
So I will say that I don't think at the beginning of the school year they would have ever come up and did that. um, our students have come a long way because we've allowed them to say things and to come and talk to us. Not that they didn't do that last year or the year before. We're not saying that at all. But what we are noticing is that they are coming to talk to us. Sometimes it's things that we don't want to hear, but we're not going to cut their voice off because they're feeling more comfortable. So when we look at our data and we look at some of the things we've done, and we look at that target of 5% suspension rates for our Hispanic and Latino families that we're on target to meet. These are some of the reasons why. Okay, we actively listen to what they wanted to do instead of us always having the answers. Okay, we listen to their voices. We pull students aside. We just talk to them at lunch. We're out there at lunch. We're out there at brunch. We're out there welcoming first thing in the morning. Miss Alma's out there at the line, at the drop-off line. I'm at the auditorium door. Mr. Nelson's in the auditorium. Derek's out on the blacktop. We're actively out there listening to our students. So if you look here, this is from a report from School Status. Last year, our attendance rate was at 91.6%. Notice we had 453 students last year. This year, we're at 90.9%. We have 33 more students this year than we did last year. So if you look at it, we're about the same as we were last year. Here, we don't really have the data from last year in Power Schools to look at this, the absenteeism rate. We actively look at every single student that is a chronic absent rate. We can go through and tell you exactly which students have our highest absenteeism that is bringing our data down. We have done things. The TOSA, my MTSS TOSA was a godsend this year. She has parent meetings. She prepares SARPs. She prepares our agenda for our screen team on Fridays. She's part of our admin meeting. So when we talk about students, she's there and she hears all the data, and we coordinate all the services we have on campus in order to try to get these students to come to class. But we can look at each and every last student that falls in that chronic absenteeism and know what we're doing and what we've tried and what's stopping them from coming to school. Again, here's our chronic absenteeism rate. If you notice here, our students with disabilities is very high. Of course, some of those fall into other categories as well. Okay, but we know with our students with disabilities, 4 of our students definitely have chronic fatigue that is extreme, not fatigue, anxiety, I apologize, that's causing them not to come to school for one reason or another. For those students, one of those students is at a 2.6% attendance rate, so that's going to bring everything down. If we were to take those students off, our chronic absenteeism rate would be a lot lower, but they are our students, and we are still reaching out to them to try to get them come to school. In fact, one of them came to school today. We made an agreement. She showed up. I was almost in tears when she did come to school today, and she said, "Miss Williams, I'm here," and she followed everything we said that we agreed to today. And she came to my office 7th period to check in. She sat down at my table and she did exactly and tried to catch up on some of the work. So, but those are things that we are trying to do, whether they're using my office, whether they're using a conference room, whether we're putting them with another teacher to pair them up to try to catch up, wherever they're feeling comfortable at, just as long as they're coming to school. Here's our suspension rate. Pat ourselves on the back because this was a lot of work. Okay. Last year was at 10.7%. Right now we are at 2.6%. Again, it is looking at alternative ways to keep our students in school because we know if they're not in school, they're not learning. We know that school is a social a place for our students, and after COVID, they need to be in school. Some of our kids need to be in school just to eat. Okay. Some of our kids need to be in school to escape what's going on at home for them. So we do look at alternative things besides suspension in order to keep our kids in school. We run out of ideas, but they are being kept in school. Again, here's our comparison of our data between our subgroups with the suspension rate. Here's some of the strategies that we've put in place. Our weekly screen team. Again, my wonderful Tulsa, she holds those meetings. That includes our school psych, our lead mental health counselors, all of our admin. Yes, we take ourselves off the campus in order to talk about our students because we need to know. We review and a person from our family center because they are a huge part of intervening on our students' behalf. We review of students who are in need of counseling, academic and behavior support. Our attendance, again, we hold attendance meetings. We've done attendance raffles. Our front office communicates. They are some beasts in communicating with families to find out where our students are on a daily basis. Bus passes from the family center, home visits. We've done those. Students starting to feel a sense of belonging. That again, I think that's the biggest shift is students starting to feel a sense of belonging. Social emotional learning. We have Friends for Youth, our mentorship program, intramural sports at lunch. That's what Marco was talking about. Clubs. I actually host a knitting and crochet club on Wednesdays. Thank you very much. Mental health check-ins. You're going to see on the next slide, our mental health check-ins have increased. That's not a bad thing. Okay. College field trips so far this year, we have gone on 4 college field trips. Again, getting our 8th graders out of the building to go see this is what you should be aiming for when you leave school. Not just the major college. Last week, we took them to San Mateo Community College and looked at other programs. You don't have to go to a 4-year. You can go to the 2-year. You can go to a trade school. But we need to know let them know that there are opportunities for them, right? Behavior, our PBIS implementation. I have a wonderful team that last week we went to the county to go get more training. Celebrations, there's morning announcements, having our 5 grade level meetings so far this year. They are a pain in the butt, but we know we needed them, right? To celebrate our students and to, of course, re-engage them after breaks. Classroom and school incentives. More and more of our teachers are starting to have classroom incentives within their classrooms. And finally, our student advisory group, which we plan on building upon for next year. Here's that mental health data that I was talking to you about. Last year, this was all of last year, we had 79 total referrals. Between first semester and second semester this year, we have 162 referrals. We're starting to identify our students that need help faster, and everyone is involved in identifying our students that need help. Individual counseling sessions, again, all of last year were 79 so far in 2 semesters, 87. We now have groups because some of our students don't want to just talk solo. So we do hold group sessions over different things such as maybe anger management or grief. So we do hold groups. Check-ins from 326 to 478. We know we don't always come to school happy. I don't either. So we don't expect students to either. So they're allowed to check in, right? Crises, we have decreased this. We went from 42 last year to the first 2 semesters down to 27. Again, I think that is because we are checking in more frequently, right? And then our lunch bunches, we do hold lunch bunches twice a week. We had 53 last year, and this year so far, we've had 123. Our goal number 2, of course, is to get our students reclassified to up the percentage of students that we need to reclassify, right? And the degrees are LTELs, okay? So some strategies that we've tried this year. So here we are right here. We're approaching our target. We were 18% last year to RFEP. Hopefully this year we're gonna hit our 20% target. Here's our LTELs. We have a huge population of LTELs. We do. Looking at the data of who came in this year, we are blessed that we only had sixth graders that came in as LTELs this year. So we're hoping that that helps us decrease the number. That is all from the work of our feeder schools and those staffs, because you know we go as far as they bring us in, right? So that is all their work to only have sixth graders that were LTELs that came in this year. So here's our LPAC again from last year. We don't have this year's yet. Strategies for this year LPAC. We held the LPAC boot camp, my ELD teacher and my newcomer teacher, for 3 weeks, for 2 days a week for 3 weeks. They had students stay after school. We were able to use our bus that carries our students that do after school program to help those students that wanted to stay. They caught that bus, but they helped to with interventions for the students, and to help them understand what they needed to do better on the LPAC. Our newcomer teacher, Mr. Font, I can't say enough about him. He held study sessions during lunch for 2 weeks before, leading up to the LPAC. Not only did he do after school, but then he also did his lunch. We went to a block schedule. Hannah talked about block scheduling. We did this for LPAC as well. And one of the things we did was we took it out of just the hands of our ELD teacher and our newcomer teacher, and every teacher either administered or watched students that didn't have to take the LPAC. Upstairs, we had students take the LPAC because we have 45% of our student population that is EL. That's almost half. So we had them test upstairs, and then those students that didn't have to test were downstairs, because if you've ever walked MIT, you know, if you walk across the floor, it's squeaky. So we had the students that tested upstairs so they can have a quiet learning testing environment in order to be successful. But the main thing is that now is everybody owns the LPAC, not just the 2 teachers. We spoke to individuals about their 23, 24 scores. It was amazing when we had these conversations, especially with our students that were at level 3, to let them know, hey, you're almost there. Well, what are you talking about, Ms. Williams? Your LPAC from last year, you're at level 3. And then when you show them the 4 domains, and one of them was at a 4 and one of them was at the 3, and they didn't know that they only had to score 4 in 2 of those domains. They said, I only have to get 1 more point. Yep. That I don't have to take that class anymore? Yep. We got that kid to start going to boot camp when we did that. We got that kid to start going at lunchtime when they knew that. It's about communicating those test scores to our students. It shouldn't be kept a secret as to where they are, right? So it was about communicating with those students what their scores were, so they can understand what it meant and what it means, right? We communicated with our families as well. We sent home letters to tell them about the importance of having their students just show up on time and every day when we took the LPAC. I think during that time when we took it, we had some of the highest attendance rates we've had all year between those 2 testing periods, the LPAC and our iReady testing. But it was communicated with the families about how important these tests are to our community, all right? Strategies for next year. We're going to continue the strategies we did this year. If they are working, maybe tweak them a little bit, but continue those strategies for next year. Writing across the curriculum. One of the things that we noticed when we looked at our data from last year is that our students struggle with writing. Not just our EL students, but all of our students in general struggle with writing. We're looking at writing across the curriculum. Every single content area, including PE, including our electives, will become writing teachers for next year. Adding reading time to one period each week. This was actually an idea for my staff members that said, hey, can we have a time where students just read? Absolutely, we can. So we're going to work that in our schedule for next year. Increase the number of minutes to each period. We are going from 47 minutes this year to 55 minutes next year. Creating more family engagement opportunities on campus for our EL and newcomer families specifically. Of course, we want all of our all our families to come on campus, but we need to actively target our newcomer families and our EL families to make them feel like their voice, again, just like their students' voice, is important, and to help us with their students as well, right? I'm collaborating with Redwood City Library for field trips and guest speakers, where I was there a few weeks ago, and they have this wonderful room upstairs that we can use if we just walk our students down to pick up books. It's free of charge. We're just a hop, skip, and a jump right down from the library. So let's utilize some of those free resources that we do have in our community to get our students to read. Our goal number 3, of course, is to increase our ELA and our math scores on the CAS testing that's coming at the end of April. If you can see here, our targets for our iReady was to increase ELA by 20%, math by 12%, and for our CAS testing is increased ELA by 38% and math by 16%. Here's our iReady data. This right here is for math. ELA. 20%, only 20% of our students met or exceeded that. Here is for ELA for our different groups of students. Again, here's for these are our cohorts right here. We got some work to do, we know. Our iReady. This is our fall iReady test for reading. As you can see, we had a lot of red, right? We had every single category from 23 to this year in the fall was at red. At least 50% was red, correct? Here's our current spring iReady data. Again, we increased the growth for our green to 11% for our 6th graders, by 11% for our 6th graders, by 17% for our 7th graders, and by 17% for our 8th graders. The most important part is we decreased the percentage that we had in red by 17% for our 6th graders, 13% for our 7th graders, and 13% for our 8th graders. We used just simple strategies for this year, going into block testing. Of course, our teachers taught, right? But doing a block testing schedule for our iReady, communicating with the students, communicating with the families, and of course, incentivizing our students to do better, right? Everybody likes food. These kids love food, and they love food. So last week, one of the things we did when we celebrated not just our honor roll students, but we also celebrated those students that grew on the iReady, and we did grade level lunches, and we invited the families to come out and celebrate. We bought a lot of pizza last week. Which was a blessing. We pretty much doubled from fall to spring the amount of students that we celebrated. Okay, we just want them to know no matter how much they grew, growth is still important. You know, it's you versus you. It's not you versus the whole school. Your growth, we want them to know that their growth is their growth, right? So we celebrated them. Again, here's our math. Notice here for 2024, and this is fall, 6.8% exceeded. Again, there's our subgroups right there. And then here should be for the spring. Nope, my bad. Cohorts. Again, here's our fall, a lot of red for math. Here's our growth for spring. We increased the percentage of green for sixth graders by 9%, seventh graders by 7%, eighth graders by 6%. We decreased the number that were in red, 7% for sixth graders, 13% for seventh graders, and 21% for our eighth graders. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Again, what did we do this year? We went to block. Oh, I think you've been going. Okay. So some strategies for this year, because we are in ATSI, we do have coaching. And I wanted to thank not just our TCM coaches, but also the district coaches that we have. They have come out. I meet with them every other week to get them to come into the, not only to help individual teachers, but they come to our meetings. Because one of the things that we have in schedule, all of our content area teachers have the same planning period. So all our math teachers have second planning. Our English has third period planning. So we deliberately put them together because we know on Thursdays, that's grade level. So our coaches come out and they go to their meetings with them and help them develop strategies for increasing our student learning. So we did have TCM coaches that came in this year. So our math and our ELA teachers were able to go not only on campus, but also to Hoover to go look and see how to put strategies for engagement into their lessons. What we did for iReady, again, we used block scheduling. All teachers, again, were involved with administering the iReady. And it just fall on the ELA and the math teachers. As we had in the fall, that's what happened, and it took them forever. And it felt just like only the ELA and math teachers were responsible for that data. We reversed that, and we said, nope, everyone's going to administer the iReady. This also created smaller testing groups for our students to be more successful. We created a testing environment where we treated it just like it was a state test. We put some of those strategies and procedures in there. The teachers they walked around, they weren't on their computers. We treated it just like the state test in order to get ready for the state test that's coming up. But we want our students to know how important testing is, whether it's a unit test or whether it's iReady or whether it's a state test. We need to start treating every test the same. Standard mastery checks were given by some teachers. We've done 3 cycles so far. And out of those 3 cycles, 2 of those cycles focus on writing, because as I told you earlier, our students need a lot of help with writing. And again, we communicated with students with families about the importance of the iReady and its connection to the SBAC that's coming up. Is that it? That's it? Oh, like I've been up here for like 2 hours. Okay, any questions?
Thank you, Bulldogs, for the presentation. B, Alma, really appreciate it. Your staff that's here in attendance. Yeah, that's great. And particularly Emily, Genesis, Jonathan, and Marco. Loved hearing about their experiences. This is the time where we get to discuss amongst ourselves or ask questions of B. Would anyone like to start? Jennifer, please.
Thank you for the presentation, and it was great to hear from the kids at the schools. I think it would be nice for some of the other schools to do the same. It's good to hear from the kids. Thank you for answering the question on the mental health service data. That was my first thing when I saw the numbers. I guess my follow-up question to that is, it's great that we're doing the early intervention, but do we have the resources now that we've identified such a large group of kids who need support?
You know, that's some of the things that we are working with the district, and actually the foundation. We just met earlier That was actually last week, Thursday last week, they're offering a grant for $60,000 for next year and the following year for mental health resources at MIT. So we're actively looking for more because we do need more. I mean, we have waiting lists for our students to see a counselor at this point. Yeah. So we are looking for more. But again, we're working with the district to help us fill some of those needs.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. And then my other question maybe is more of a Anna Jenny question. On the iReadies, especially for middle school, I was wondering in the future if we can see sixth, seventh, eighth broken out separately. I just feel like looking at some of the data that's coming back from the schools, a sixth grader and a sixth grade class and an eighth grade class, especially that fall iReady. But thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone? Yeah. All right, David Lee.
I'll echo, thank you so much for the presentation and for bringing your staff, bringing the students. It was really helpful. I will also just acknowledge that culture is so hard in general to recreate and to change and improve. And I recognize the difficulty about doing that both with a very new admin team and also simultaneously tackling the suspension issue. I think I imagine this is not the district way, but I would guess that there are a lot of folks who have the temptation to use this suspension as a means to filter the culture, and you guys are not doing that, and that's great because it's super important that we serve all of our kids. So thank you for all of that, and thank you for the students' testimony because it's just really helpful to have the firsthand accounts. And I'm a sucker for extemporaneous speech, so it really just felt very genuine and like really like testimony to all the different things that they're saying and how they feel about it. So that was really just I really appreciate getting that.
Literally, when we first went to that school this summer, it was like white walls. Nelson was we hung things and we got, I'm a strong believer in the outside and keeping the interior clean and keeping your house clean before you invite people in, right? So we needed some color. I mean, so we put up flags, we put our international flags, we hung up college banners, we got a poster maker to start making posters instead of the students writing them out. We created a space in our office so families could feel, instead of having these little purple chairs that a second grader sits in, we put furniture in there and plants in because we wanted to create the environment where the building and our office where people come in at, it can feel warm and inviting. Yeah, students went through and they were pulling stuff down, but we've seen a decrease in that because they didn't understand, So now they're starting to take pride and ownership on how their building looks. We put garbage cans in the hallways, we actively sought to do that because they need to have a safe place. And in our minds, a safe place includes a clean place. And they need to start taking ownership of things, and they have started taking ownership in things. So I think that started changing a cultural shift too. And then I think they started to see that we're not going to leave them alone. We're going to keep talking to them. We're going to keep being in their face. We're going to be in the middle of their Foursquare game. We're going to go out and watch their soccer games. We're going to do all that. So once they saw that we're not going to give up on them, they started to come and started talking to us. And now they won't leave us alone, but that's okay. We love them.
No, I love it. I will only say that I feel like you've maybe set expectations very high I'm excited to see what happens next year, but now I have high expectations. That's kind of what it is. And I think to your point, right? Like there's a foundational piece, right? Yes, we want to have the students learn and we want that to be visible, tangible, but like you have to have the conditions, and that's one of them, right? Safe environment. And then the other, as you acknowledged, is coming to school, which let's put that to the side because I have a couple questions on that. But again, really appreciate that first part. I just going through the other two goals first. So goal 2 on the EL the English learners. I think I gathered this, but it's just to confirm. It sounds like broadly, at least on the RFA, the reclassification and LTELs, we feel like we're tracking toward our goal. We don't feel like there's alarm there, or is yeah.
I feel like we're tracking towards our goal. Again, we're excited to see what comes out of it. But it was showing the students where they were to begin with. It was giving them that information instead of us holding on to it. It's giving them ownership of their data, right? So we're hoping, we're praying that it does come out in our favor.
Oh, sounds good. Yes,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Um, the examples that you gave about letting them have the ownership and the insight into what it takes, because yeah, you have to have ownership, and you can't do that if you don't know where you are. So again, testament to the culture. I'll keep on saying it, but I love it. And then on goal 3, I think you already answered the question, but broadly, yes, different question on, we'd love to have higher baselines, but we can only do what we can do. And it looks like we have a great amount of growth, at least relative to our goals that we've been set. So unless you tell me otherwise, I'm not going to worry too much about
They
that.
ain't telling you otherwise. You're right.
Cool.
It's growth.
Sounds good. So then the one thing is on the chronic absenteeism piece, and this is more maybe a question for Anna, because I feel like I keep on getting mixed up on what the calculations are and how we're doing it. But yes, I guess when we use the percentage of chronic absenteeism, I had assumed it was like a percentage of students that are in this bucket of they have 10% or more absence. So if we have like 480 or whatever students, then we're looking at like 150 or ish who have more than 10% absences. Is that right?
Yes, probably at MIT, we have a lot.
Okay.
There is, I think Angeles is back there, should probably tell you how many phone calls. Yeah, there is a lot. And also middle school, the way also we do, remember, middle school does attendance every period as well.
Also keep in mind, if you get
But there is a
student
lot
that-
of students
yeah.
that have chronic absenteeism. And I know they've been working really hard to try to get some of the students back onto campus and making phone calls consistent with families and making plans.
But that also falls, like if we had a student that came in last month and they missed a day, they automatically fall into, because it takes, it's a weird calculation on how it looks. So you might have a kid that misses 2 days and they're at a 78% attendance rate, but they would fall into that chronic absenteeism. So it's it's weird to look at, but some of them have reasons why they're missing for those 2 or 3 days. We went through a spate there where shots of immunization. Again, we went through a spate there in December where the flu, and we've had a couple of things that happened on campus where our families kept their students back. The environment today doesn't help when you have 86% of your students that are Hispanic. What's going on today doesn't help that. So we had a lot of families that were nervous, rightfully so. That hurts us. So again, I think the main thing is, yes, that number, the percentage is high, but we know why. For the most part, our students are absent, and we're just keep trying to get them to come back to school, the ones that aren't.
I'll do more homework on my end of the calculations piece, but I guess big picture for next year, I mean, do we feel like we have an approach to reduce that, or?
I think we do. It's starting off with reaching parents more. We have a better footage of what's working now. Because I think that if you took some of the beginning of the school year off, and we took a few of those students off, that we have a student that's at 2.6% attendance rate, and another one that's at 25%. What do you do with those? But still trying to use some of the things that we're doing now, later in the year, starting those off at the beginning of the school year. I think we'll be in a better place.
I'm very excited to, again, you set my expectations so high, so it's a little bit on you. Last questions I had were mostly just if there's anything that you'd call out in terms of supports that have been super helpful, that are particularly helpful, like please make sure that we keep on having this to continue being successful. And then on the opposite end, any particular challenges that you're facing that you think that the district or board can be more supportive of?
It's funny because I don't think I've ever had this much support. I mean, this is my second year as administrator. But I know that I can call up any of them, and they're there, from Catherine Rivera to Wendy to Anna to Dr. Baker, to Rick. I mean, all of them. Martin has been a huge support for me because I just walk over to his, hey, Martin, knock on his door because we right there. Martin, what you doing? I need this. But, there's no one that I've ever reached out to. The principals. They're amazing. Aaron next door, I've thrown my keys and say, I don't know about this, Aaron. And she said, come on, B, let's talk. So, there's so much support here that I know if I think of something, we can work it out. And my partners in this district are strong. They're there to help out. Right now, I think it's just we're working through getting more mental health support and also working on making sure our teachers have some of the strategies they need to help to keep improving upon our students' success.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Michelle Griffith too, because she's a strong, thank you.
I'll go next. Thank you again so much for your presentation. And I just want to say, I want to go back to school and have you as my principal.
I know.
You're good. Thank you. Thank you. And then of course I have to give credit to all the teachers and staff that support you because I'm sure you support them. So they want to pay back. I want to say, obviously, thank you to the students for being here. It takes a lot of courage to speak. Sometimes even we as board members, including myself, get nervous. So please, very thankful that you were here to express your feelings. I love to hear the students say that they love McKinley, feeling welcome, things have changed. Obviously, I think, to be honest with you, this has been the most, I want to say, kind of like engaging presentation. And I think because you made that, just having the students here made a big difference. We've had other schools where they bring their staff members as well. But again, it was just like your enthusiasm as well as, I know I've said it, and I love all the principals, don't get me wrong, but I know like David Camarena, I've always said too, like I love the enthusiasm. And I think that makes a big plus for students. And a lot of the times, a lot of the students are struggling where they actually see themselves, again, feeling welcome. I think leadership has a lot to do with their growth. And I want to say to the students that are here, please know that as a school district, we care about you. And obviously, I appreciate the fact that one of you mentioned how you were tardy a lot of the times, but now you see you can't be tardy, otherwise you can't play soccer. And I know soccer is important, but just think of your future. The more you come to school and the more you learn, you will thrive and be successful. So again, thank you so much for all of you being here. I love the fact that you're doing the LPAC boot camp, the study sessions at lunch. I mean, just all the extra time that your team is taking to make a difference in the students' academic success. I know that the needle's moving, and I've said it before to other schools too, slowly, but it's moving, and you guys are making a big difference. And I hope that's something, as we're just hearing from the students tonight, where they actually feel it. And so hopefully they can go back to their siblings and their friends to try to get everybody engaged in the future. I love to hear that you're doing working strategies, like engaging students, how you mentioned that you went to visit Hoover. That's one of the things that we've mentioned as a board that we would love to see from principals and different schools, just seeing what works at one school and see if you could bring that and mirror that at your school site. So I really don't have any questions. I just want to say it is very challenging at times for leaders to not have to throw their keys. So I really appreciate everything that you are doing. And again, just seeing and hearing from the students, I think that just like touched my heart. So thank you so much.
Well, one of the schools we visited was Sequoia to come look at the model for their co-teaching. So, but it was getting the teachers out to see the strategies at the high school so they can try to bring some of those to the school, to our school, So I think they were amazed when they went to Sequoia and to the different classrooms and saw how students were engaging and how the teachers were getting them engaged. So those are, it's right across the street. And
Yeah.
it's an easy call. Hey, can we come over? And I said, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So,
And then of course, I love to hear that, and I've heard it from other principals, thank you to cabinet for their leadership and their support. So thank you again.
Sweet. Yeah. Students, nice work. Presenting is hard, scary, gets a little less scary the more you do it. This was maybe presentation 1, presentation 2 out of, hundreds of presentations you're going to end up giving, I'm sure. Yeah. Staff, teachers, thank you so much for the work that you do for the school. Yeah. I'll be honest, I take a look at that progressive of 22, 23, 24 on like the iReady scores in the fall. Scares the crap out of me. Those are really terrifying bar charts and they're all going the wrong direction. This school needs strong leadership and thankfully it's got it in UD. So
it's B.
B.
There you
go. So I'm really grateful for your vibrancy, your leadership, and your willingness to listen to the students, to engage the students, to put them here in front of the podium. People respect that. People respect being respected. And so the respect that you're pouring out into the student body is, I think, getting reflected and is getting results. I really like that you put forth, like, what are my strategies for next year? Right. So there's not just a presumption of we're going to keep on doing what we've been doing. And so I love us trying new things, of experimenting, of exploring, and I really appreciate your thoughtfulness in putting that together. I think it's great as well that we're showing students their own LPAC scores and putting it on them, putting them in the driver's seat. That mirrors metacognitive best practices. Like, what are you going to do to drive this? How are you going to take ownership of your future and what you're going to do here? This is not just about education being something that is done to you, but it's something that you command and that you need to own. And I think that's fantastic. Great progress on suspensions. Love things like creativity around you can't be tardy and still play sports. I think that was really, really clever. Do you feel like you're getting all the data you need, like with two iReady samplings here? Is there more data that you feel you need to be able to do your job well and see what's working and what's not working?
No, I think sometimes you can have data overload. The cool thing about Power School's analytics, the more we play around with it, the more that we can find what we need. If we need more, we go to the family and say, hey, what's going on, right? So I think we have enough data to look at to help support our efforts right now.
Okay, cool. Do you have an opinion on like summer slide and things that we can do to help students during the summer, given like the 8.5 weeks we got off?
That's a tough one. I did summer school. I was a summer school principal for middle school last year. I saw how many students, we started off filled, and then by the second week, half of them were gone, because I think they need a mental break as well. There's really, this is my 20th year in education. There's really nothing. We can try to get them to read more, but I think they need that mental break as well. I don't have an answer for that. It could, starting this year off right, maybe I don't know, maybe doing some, there's no right or wrong for that. There's no right or wrong.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you do. Cheers.
Yeah, I echo the thanks and appreciation for you, your staff, and everything that's going on there. I love the focus on belonging. I just think that that's like the #1 thing that we can possibly do in elementary and middle school education, is make sure that kids feel like they belong, that they're seen, they're heard, and that they love education, because like nothing else is going to follow with that. And it's cool to see the growth from fall to spring in the iReady, and that the strategies that you're taking are starting to show that growth. That's amazing. And it was outstanding to hear from Emily, Genesis, Jonathan, and Marco about, I could hear threaded through their comments, that belonging that's growing and that sense of wanting to be at school. And that is just outstanding. So thanks for the presentation. Loved visiting in, gosh, was it Thanksgiving? Or, I can't remember, it was the food drive time.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving.
But
Yep,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
looking
Yeah.
forward to getting out there again.
Thank you.
Well, B, it was great that you brought not only your staff is here, but the 4 students that showed up tonight with you. It does show that the climate and the culture has changed. And just listening to these 4 students, out of all of you that spoke tonight, have you been in Redwood City since kindergarten? Yes? Very good. That's great. That's great. Y cuando vinieron hablaban solamente español. Solamente español. Y ahora, mire, son bilingües. So fantastic coming and speaking Spanish, and now they're quite bilingual. What you have created with a culture at the school, and I know we've talked about this, especially at the beginning when we're doing our walks and talking and meeting with students in the hallways. What has happened now is entirely different from that fall period, and they are the evidence of it. So you should be very proud of yourself, your staff, the students that are here, and what you have accomplished in that short period of time. I know it was rocky, but it's getting to the point now, I think, as we end the school year and begin next year with your experience that you've had, you'll step right in and know exactly where to start and what to do. And I'm very pleased with what you've been doing. And these students to come forward as you brought them tonight is quite impressive. And so I applaud you for doing that. And as was it Jen? I think you said it. It would be nice to have more kids come and speak at these meetings. So bravos to you. You're the first one that have done something like this.
Well, their voices are
Oh,
invaluable.
definitely.
You know, it's just the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, I know.
Was-
We had lots of conversations. 6:30 in the morning.
Their parents also showed up too
Oh,
to support them and hear
Yes.
them. So
Disculpa, yo no sabía que estaban ustedes aquí también.
But that's the culture we're trying to build at MIT. It's just not, it's that triangle is the school, the family, and the student, and connecting those is what we're trying to work on. But to have this support, one of my favorite times at the beginning of the school year was doing the drop off line, because I was able to make connections with the family. I almost got it now because there's a lot going on, but I did it for the first semester and a half. Now she's got it, but that was the piece of making those connections with our families, and a strong believer. And the first thing some students see our smiles are the first thing sometimes. First time a student sees that in the morning. So I had the biggest headache because when Kelly knows what time I get up, 4:45 in the morning, get on the treadmill. So, but I go in and I smile and I tell them Happy Wednesday, and they say, Miss Wayne, you're so loud. I was like, I know I'm loud, but that's who I am, But they know what to expect out of me. I'm genuine, but I think I'm real with them. There's high expectations and they know it. I don't sugarcoat anything with them. I tell them all the time. I might say something you don't want to hear, but I'm going to always tell you the truth and be honest with you, but also value you, because I know where I came from, and being a minority. I always wanted to feel valued. I did. I want them to have the same experience. So that was always a goal of mine with every student that's in front of me for the last 20 years. I want them to feel valued.
And you are doing that. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Same time next year. Bye.
4:45 is right around the corner. So please have a good evening, and thank you again. Thanks, Bulldogs. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. We're going to approve these all in one motion. Can I get a motion for all the consent items?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
So second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Okay, then we're going to move on to our action items. This is 14.1 approval of the agreement between RCSD and Team Civics and Godby Research and SCI Consulting Group. And this is to conduct a parcel tax measure feasibility study. I believe we're going to have a presentation. We also have public comment. And so maybe we'll take the public comment after the presentation. I got to be sorry. I know. I was thinking the presentation first and then public comment. Is there a presentation or? Okay.
Sorry, there really isn't a presentation. It's more of a discussion.
Okay.
So, first of all, let me introduce, and Blair, right? Oh, Brand. Right. I forgot.
Then we can take the public comment. Why don't we start with that? Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Then let me make sure that nothing else has come up. Okay, we have two now, actually. So our first speaker, and I'm guessing looking at the audience that they're going to be on Zoom, is is Jessica Shade.
Hi, everyone.
Jessica, we can hear you.
Great. I'm a parent of two kids at Orion. I'm really thankful that the district's looking at multiple options for filling the funding gap that we've got. I'm part of a group leading a citizens initiative for a parcel tax. But honestly, we aren't picky about how the funding gets passed. So if you do this survey and it shows, over over two-thirds support by a good margin, we're happy to work on a district-led initiative. Essentially, our students need this funding, and we're hoping to work with the district to make sure they get it. We're really interested in retaining and attracting quality teachers, supporting STEAM programs, maintaining small class sizes, and more. So thanks for looking at options to fund our CSD, and we're here to help. That's all.
All right, thank you, Jessica, and thank you for your advocacy. And our next speaker is Carlo Contavalli.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Carlo.
Okay, you can hear me good. I'm also a parent in Redwood City School District. Once again, the board meeting started with an outcry about important key programs being cut because we don't have enough funding, enough budget. I think we all know that our schools need need more funding, and they need it now. They need it badly. So we know there's a new way to raise parcel taxes based on square footage. And we know that this has been extremely effective in raising funds in other districts as well. You're about to discuss a poll in order to find out if this can be effective in Redwood City as well. I think it's very important to move forward with this poll and find out if this can work for Redwood City. Because if it can work for Redwood City, it's something that we should push forward as quickly as possible in order to have more funding and restore the AP programs that are being cut, or provide more teacher aides, or do all those things that are important for our teachers to be successful with our kids. I'm also involved with the parcel tax initiative, and again, I think it's whatever we decide to do, we'll do our best to whatever we find out from this research and from this poll, we'll do our best to make sure that we get more funding into the district. But I think it's very important to have the data and to see if this can be effective, pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo, for your comments.
Okay. So this item comes to you for approval of the feasibility study that would assess the community's willingness to support a parcel tax measure for our students. As we've heard from Jessica and Carlo and other community members, there may be some willingness to move forward in the near future. So as we've heard during multiple board meetings, recently parents have expressed support for pursuing this funding option. And we've discussed the importance of exploring a sustainable solution for some of the reductions that we've done due to the reductions of COVID funding that we have had since that for a small period of time, and due to the reductions that we made earlier this school year to kind of balance our budget, even though there is still some deficit spending occurring, but it's more balanced now than it was previously. As we consider this for approval, I want to recognize and thank every parent that has been working on this initiative project. I know Jessica, you've been part of, Jennifer, you've been part of it, and Jessica and Carlo have been extremely supportive in moving this forward and working with community members to see if there is a flavor to go out and possibly do this parcel tax in the near future. The study will provide critical data to help determine the best pathway forward for the school district and to continue with having our high quality education here in the Redwood City School District, maintain our teachers and our staff, and to maintain a lot of the programs that you hear about that are coming before you as these board presentations are being made by different school sites. So with that, I do have Jeremy Hauser here. I have Brian Godby and Brandon. I'm trying to look for his last name since it was Blair that I was thinking of. Brandon
Brandon Van Leuven.
Oh,
Hi.
thank you,
John.
Brandon.
Hi.
Great. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions in regard to the contracts that if you move forward to approve this, if you have any questions about those contracts, this is the time that we can discuss them and they can give us any possible responses for those questions that you may have.
Does anyone have questions about the contracts or the process going forward? I know we had a discussion item on this before last board meeting, I think, with Jeremy. Maybe there's one, two before. But.
Any questions for Brian and as we move forward, and Jeremy, you're on the line, and I did speak with President Wells and also Trustee Lee this afternoon regarding a future meeting coming forward if they were to be passed. I know that you also asked at that meeting to have some few parents at it. I don't know if you wanted to discuss at that time at this meeting that Brian would be there, and I don't know if it's Brandon or Blair that would also be at this meeting to give more of timeline and what's to occur next.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. I think really, assuming we get direction and approval from the board tonight to move forward, really our first step as a consulting team is honestly to do a listening session with you all, with your leadership and key stakeholders to understand what your funding needs are so that we can begin the process of crafting the survey, right? And those needs can take various forms. It can be the programs you'd like to see funded, the staff, but also the revenue goals, right? And how we might achieve those goals through a square footage parcel tax. So that would be the first step, is really a listening and learning session for us, so then we can, build a survey that we think has the best likelihood of success. And of course, go back and forth in that process and get it in the field and really just hear from your voters about what they think might be possible.
And this is Brian Godby from Godby Research. As Jeremy said, that first session is a listening session. It usually takes about 2.5 or 3 weeks to work out a questionnaire. As with those issues that he mentioned, there's another few days for programming. Then we're in the field doing our interviewing. That usually takes between 7 and 10 days. There's a data processing component after that. So another 3 days. And then we have top line results and crosstabs. And from there, we discuss with your internal group and then a presentation to the full board.
And Brandon, in regard to flat rate versus square footage, any information in regard to how we move forward in that direction?
Yeah, so we're going to be working behind the scenes. If, assuming we're approved by the board today, we would be developing various tax rate scenarios at various rates per square feet. And we would also run a typical flex and give you options of looking at those side by side to see the differences. And then once we know the revenue goal, we can start developing more mature scenarios and present to you a technical memorandum with our recommendations and rate scenarios based on the district's revenue need. And if there's any other questions or scenarios that you would like to see, SCI would be the on-call tax consultant who would develop these scenarios, and we can certainly provide you more information on that.
Anyone have questions or comments? Looks like an experienced team to me, and I know we've worked with Godby and Team Civics before. You know, I think as we heard from our speakers, there's urgency in pursuing this now. We see it in our classrooms, we hear it from our community. So to me, at least, it makes a lot of sense. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve this item?
I move to approve this item.
Is there a second? Cecilia, thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye.
All right, great. Then we will move forward, and Jeremy, I'll give you a call tomorrow morning.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having us again.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we're on to report from board members and superintendent. Who would like to start the report out?
I'll go. So I've started trying to do more structured trustee site visits. So I put together, I think as most of you know, a document describing how should a trustee conduct a site visit. And I got very useful feedback from folks. So thank you so much, everyone who chimed in on that. Okay, now to put theory to practice, time to go start having site visits in that way. And so I have started reaching out to different sites to go and meet with them. And principals really appreciated knowing like, oh, what is he planning on doing, right? These are the kinds of questions to expect and the like. And that let it really be a focused listening session where I would do a 90-minute visit, about 60 minutes of which would be me mostly just listening to what the principal had to say. And then about 30 minutes of doing classroom visitations, walking around, observing the quality of the facilities, you know, really doing an inspection. And then afterwards, taking about an hour or two to go and write up my findings and send them onward to Dr. Baker as well as to the principal for them to check for understanding and make sure that I actually had captured accurately and truthfully what had happened. So I've done that with a couple different schools now, and it's been really pretty gratifying because it turns out if you spend an hour listening carefully to an expert talk about what's working, what's not working well, they have a lot of interesting things to say. So I would have pages and pages of notes. And oftentimes in those notes, there was material that was novel and actionable where like the district needed to do something about it. Lots of praise, by the way, for district staff. Just I think tonight's speaker was not the only one who feels very well supported by the district. So a lot of high praise there. So yeah, I've been doing those and I'm looking forward to doing those with even more sites.
Coordinate with them with the superintendent. Let them know if you're thinking about visiting a site. Is that fair for me to put you on the spot?
Right, but and then they have their calendars. They have their calendars, so they know who's coming when, and so they can schedule you.
Good
Yeah.
point about pylon.
Yeah.
Now they're trustee.
I think, but just be open to say, I'm flexible and work for their schedule. And they'll be very friendly of saying, this is not a good week. Can you do it some other time?
In that spirit, I think Trustee Weekly and I visited the same school over this last period, and I think Principal Mercer's on the Zoom as well. So it's one of the items. I did a site visit at Roosevelt, learned quite a bit about the general history. It was really interesting for me to really get a sense of kind of the amount of change that the school has faced over the past several years. And so it seems like there's a relatively stable period now, which is great for a variety of reasons. And then I think some things I heard were that transportation be helpful in terms of making sure that we get kids to school. One thing that I observed was that, like at many other schools, it felt like there was a very strong relationship with the principal, the staff, and the students, enough where they're very much like knowing them by name and greeting proactively and things like that, which sounds small, but to the earlier point about culture is like super important, obviously. So it was great to see. And I think they're very excited about getting the HVAC over the summer, so that's great. Everyone that is getting it, I'm sure, is very excited. And then the only other thing I have to report is that I did go to the matinee showing for Legally Blonde, so that was great. I really enjoyed that. I think I saw a trustee was there as well, so I really enjoyed that.
I didn't visit any school sites this week, but I'm doing a MIG training right now, which yeah. So any information you guys can send my way would be appreciated, just on glossary words.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw Legally Blonde. I saw it twice actually, on Friday night and Saturday. So what you missed was the dance program, which I had before. So they did that on the evening ones. Visited a couple sites. I saw Ford, which you were at, and Clifford. And then we had Rick led the facility master plans, community engagement meetings at Hoover and Kennedy. And it was good. It was different. I mean, the room was set up for a lot of people. There were not as many people there, but it was a pretty, I think we got a pretty good diverse representation from different sets of schools at the different sites. So almost every school seemed to have at least one or two people there for it. I think by the end, if you count the virtual meeting, yeah, that's right. That we had before. So yeah, it was good. And hearing it 3 times, I thought for sure would be like overkill, but actually it was a little bit different every time and a little bit more information. So it was kind of good to have the repetition.
Great. Legally Blonde too, but it was on Saturday afternoon for me. And then Wendy went on Friday night. Yeah.
Stop it there.
We had a immigration meeting again on Monday, and it was not only ourselves presenting, but also Faith in Action, who is a group in San Mateo County who is working very closely from northern to the southern portion of the county to make sure that people who are here undocumented not only know their rights like we have been instructing them, but also know about resources that are available to them during this time. Resources in the manner of rental assistance, in the manner of assistance for if there's a physician needed and they don't have one and they're going to go to an urgent care or something and there's money needed for that, they have that. We had heard a story at one of our cafecitos. I was at one of the cafecitos and also at one of your facilities master plan got back to me that one of our parents, I believe it was Jorge, asked the parents to take a picture of the QR code. She goes, I'm not able to because I was unable to pay for that portion on my cell phone this month. So an item like that, they can help support. So it was great having this meeting. We went from 6, it was scheduled from 6 to 8. We went from 6 to 7:30 and covered everything that was needed. There is still a lot of anxiety and stress out in the communities where parents did share what they're experiencing and then how appreciative they are for the district and also the community schools and the community school centers that are there to support. So it was good to hear that. I went to a chamber education meeting today, and there are several people that tuned into the facilities master plan and then asked me the question, when is the study session? And I go, I'll get back to you on that because I couldn't remember what date we had chosen. It's April 23rd. I'll get back to them then so that you will hear everything that has taken place at those meetings. But it was very interesting that these are people who not necessarily have students in our district, but are interested in the education that's taking place in Redwood City and also own in Redwood City. So of course they're interested in what we're doing. So I said, yes, we'll get that information out to you. I'm sorry I don't have the date in my mind at this point in time, but I'll send them the information so they could come to the study session and listen along with others.
Sweet. And the folks from the charter schools are participating as well?
Right, exactly.
Awesome.
From charter schools are participating. That's it for me.
Great. That means it's back to me. I forgot. We have no information. How about correspondence? Did anyone have correspondence to share? Hearing none, we can move on to possible other business and suggested items for future agenda. All right. Evelyn, are there changes to the board meetings calendar?
No changes.
No changes. Great. Then we're up to the adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.